Greetings, my fellow from Love Sovereign Thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Thursday, July 9th, 2015. Yeah, I just grew up. Sometimes I was just watching the Idiot Box today. This is helping a friend of mine to get a diagnosis check. And we just started laughing about the big headline news. The South Carolina legislature passed the removal of the Confederate flag. The piece of symbolic cloth. And what really makes me laugh is when I forgot that one lady's name, which I believe she don't deserve to have her be addressed on my show, was going in tears and beseeching everybody and have the statement of saying that because of the shootings that happened in Charleston, South Carolina at the church, brought this to the floor. How dare you exploit that horrific event? And I have a question for her and any of those little cornballs. How come you're not going after Big Pharma? Don't be surprised if this man allegedly was on psychotropic drugs. But you want to go after a symbolic cloth. Do I have any fond or love for the Confederacy as a compassion and all that? Absolutely not. However, there's some pros and cons in every form of government, and the CSA was one of them, including the United States and beyond. They want to say it's symbolic of hatred. Yeah, well, there's a lot of flags out there that represented hatred, slavery, tyranny, etc., including the United States. Remember this, my friends, as I said before, government in Latin means control of the mind. Around 170 million people were slaughtered. Non-combatant folks were destroyed by form of genocide by governments gone bad, including around, they say, 280 million from democide. Genocide is wiped out a certain race. Democide is wiped out everybody. But they want to use the Confederate States of America, the battle flag that's originally started from Virginia. They want to make that the big stink. Yes, like I said before, the history of the Confederacy had its rough edges, so did the United States. But crying and trying to use the Charleston shooting to remove the flag is totally unacceptable in my book. It's like saying they attacked it because of our freedoms. That's what that woman, I find her contemptuous, crying in tears, trying to use that. That's downright disgusting. This is how I observe things, my friends. It doesn't matter. Like, if you heard my past episodes, I condemn all forms of tyranny. And I'm damn proud of it. But try not to sell me a crappy car instead of it's an A1 shape. It's like, or trying to sell me some fluids, like some drinks that just healthy and it has like high fructose corn syrup. Oh yeah, but it is organic. Thus, we gotta always watch out for the mind control hype, propaganda. Edward Bernays talks about that in his book Propaganda. You can look up online. Edward Bernays' Propaganda. All right, so yeah, I'm going to be doing just a few things here, and not a whole lot. It's mostly the tyranny-related stuff here, and finances and so forth, and from Mike Snyder as well. But first of all, I am going to talk about, actually, UnreportedTruth.com. I think David Icke put this on his Twitter page, and I shared it as well. And it came out yesterday by Aaron. And what happened was Unreported Truth is a free media for free thought worldwide. Your chance to publish a video and article featuring news and topics that the mainstream media ignores and circulate information that the people need to see and hear. Just open up a free account and submit an article or video, and away you go. Please share the articles and videos you like and tell others about Unreported Truth. It's website unreportedtruth.com, and don't worry, I'm going to post this on my Spreaker page, like everything else I'm going to be addressing. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go on CNSnews.com, which is a conservative news source. And this one's entitled, America Faces Greek-Style Fiscal Future Thanks to Growing Dependency Crisis. It's written by Daniel Mitchell. Came out today, and as it reads here, based on a new report from the Congressional Budget I wrote 2 weeks ago about the America's dismissal long-run fiscal outlook, simply stated, we face a Greek-style fiscal future because of changing demographics and poorly designed entitlement programs. But I was just looking at big picture fiscal aggregates, and while it was discouraging, it gets downright depressing when you look behind the numbers and consider how a growing share of Americans are getting lured into government dependency. Nicholas Estropod of the American Enterprise Institute has a very grim analysis on the growth of entitlement dependency in the United States of America. Today, the welfare state today transfers over 14% of the nation's GDP to the recipients of its many programs, and over a third of the population now accepts a need-based benefits from the government. This is not the government that Taibbi encountered. It wasn't always this way. The article looks at the history of the welfare state in America. In 1961, at the start of the Kennedy administration, the total government entitlement transfers individual recipients accounted for a little less than 5% of the GDP, as opposed to 2.5% of GDP in 1931. Just before the New Deal. In 1963, the Kennedy assassination, these entitlement transfers accounted for about 6% of personal total income. But things began to deteriorate under LBJ, which is Lyndon B. Johnson, or B stands for backstabber. During the 1960s, President Johnson's War on Poverty, declared in 1964, and his Great Society budget the same year ushered in the new era for America, in which Washington finally commenced in earnest the construction of a massive welfare state. Americans could claim and obtain an increasing trove of economic benefits from the government simply by dint of being a citizen. They were not incontestably entitled under law to some measure of transfer public bounty thanks to our new entitlement state. And guess what? Once we started rewarding dependency, more and more people decided they were entitled. Over a half century between 1963 and 2013, entitlement transfers were the fastest growing source of personal income in America, expanding at twice the rate for real per capita personal income from all other sources. In fact, relentless exponential growth of entitlement payments recast the American family budget over the course of just 2 generations. In 1963, these transfers accounted for less than 1 out of every $15 of overall personal income. By 2013, they accounted for more than $1 out of every 6. The explosive growth of entitlement outlays, of course, was accompanied by a corresponding surge in the number of Americans who routinely apply for and accept such government benefits. And how many people have been lured into government dependency? A lot, and mostly because of welfare spending rather than age-related social insurance programs such as Social Security and Medicare. The government did not actually begin systematically tracking demographics of America's program participation until a generation ago. Such data as are available, however, depict a sea change over the past 30 years. By 2012, the most recent year for such figures at this writing, Census Bureau's estimates indicated that more than 150 million Americans, or a little more than 49% of the population, lived in households that received at least one entitlement benefit. Between 1983 and 2012, by Census Bureau estimates, the percentage of Americans participating in entitlement programs jumped by early 20 percentage points. Less than 1/5 of that 20 percentage point jump can be attributed to increased reliance on these 2 old age programs. Overwhelming growth charts and claimant of entitlement benefits has stemmed from extraordinary rise in the means tested elements. I've previously written that getting something from government doesn't automatically turn something into a moocher or a deadbeat. Nonetheless, it can't be good news that 49% of U.S. households are on the receiving end for goodies from Uncle Sam. Here's a table from this article. Should be frightened who thinks in self-reliance are worth of values. And he had this thing from 1983 to 2012 and how the differences is population and benefits programs and so forth. So yeah, it is very disturbing. So definitely this is from the U.S. Census Bureau. So you guys can look at it yourselves. Like I said, everything is going to be posted on my Spreaker page, okay? And of course here, there's a lot of information, so I recommend just focusing on the numbers and parentheses in the first two columns. Those show how dependency is increasing by significant amounts for many programs. And I'll highlight some of the worst numbers, most notably the huge growth in food stamps and Medicaid dependency. The roles of claimants receiving food stamps, a program that was officially rebranded the Supplement Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, in 2008 because the stigma phrase had required jumped from 19 million to 51 million. By 2012, one America in 6 lived in a home enrolled in the SNAP program. The ranks of Medicaid, the means-tested National Health Program, increased by over 65 million between 1983 and 2012, and now include one over 1 in 4 Americans. Between 1983 and 2012, the number of Americans in households receiving federal SSI more than sextupled. By 2012, over 20 million people were counted as dependents of the program. As bad as these numbers are, the most worrisome part of this article is when Atterbrand writes about the erosion of American cultural capital. Asking for and accepting appropriately needed base government welfare benefits has become a fact of life for a significant and still growing minority of our population. Every decade, a higher portion of Americans appear to be habituated to the practice, and nearly half of all our children under 18 receive means-tested benefits or live in homes that did. For this rising cohort of young Americans, reliance on public, needed-based entitlement programs is already the norm, here and now. It risks belaboring the obvious to observe that today's real existing American entitlement state and the habits, including habits of the mind, that it endangers, do not coexist easily with the values and principles or the traditions, American culture, and style of life, subsumed under the shorthand of the American exceptionalism. And the corrosion of cultural capital is very difficult to reverse, thanks in large part to the welfare-aided erosion of traditional values and failing levels of work among males. The corrosive nature of mass dependence on entitlements is evident from the nature of the pathology so closely associated with this spread. The two most pernicious of them are so tightly intertwined as to be inseparable: the breakdown of the pre-existing American family structure and the dramatic decrease in participation in work among working-age men, the rise of long-term entitlement dependency with a concomitant mainstreaming of the intergenerational welfare dependence, self-evidently delivers a heavy blow. Since this has been utterly depressing analysis so far, let's close with a vaguely optimistic look at the future. Well, it may not be easy to reverse the erosion of cultural capital. It is simple, at least in theory, to reverse bad policies. What you need to do is enact genuine entitlement reform and devolve all means-tested redistribution spending to the states. P.S. This is some great work by AEI, which follows on the stellar analysis that organizations recently produced on income inequality, makes almost want to forget the AIE put together a somewhat disappointing fiscal plan. This was written by Daniel J. Mitchell. So, and he's a strong advocate for a flat tax and international tax competition. The problem is with this, I can say this, globalism and neo-mercantilism really destroyed the open free market of capitalism. Okay, open free market. I don't mean to monopolize or state capitalism or fascism or corporatism. Okay, those are totally, completely irrelevant, or crony capitalism. I'm talking about an open free market. They start, you got these globalists and you got these governmental bastards, okay, that want to deprive your opportunity to be entrepreneurs. They want us to be in there, clock in, clock out, bend over, and go, yes, boss, all right, and off we go. Good thing to watch that movie Metropolis, okay? It's very similar to that. Walk in, you see a bunch of people walking in with their heads bowing down, like, oh, I gotta go to work. You got another shift coming out. You know, it's a silent movie. It came out in 1928. And, of course, you gotta always focus on the propaganda matrix, too, which, you know, Ed Bernays, and of course, the mind control programs about the men are degenerates, the women gotta do all the work. Being single parents are great. So they're trying to usually brainwash everybody on the whole family structure. So you gotta really kill your TV set, as far as I'm concerned, and wipe your butts on those pathetic publications you see at these stupid, weak stores that sell you this garbage down our throats. That's how I really look at the world. Because there's some great, beautiful individuals out there can make a difference. We don't want to follow the same thing with Greece, Cyprus, Spain, Portugal, and all that. We got to really defy the Club of Rome platform. And this is what's been going on in Greece, okay? Some writer or so-called expert, economic expert, was saying in Sputnik International that capitalism destroyed Greece. Please, that's all they talk about. It's completely irrelevant. The IMF and the World Bank's responsible. How are they capitalistic entities? They are not. And prove me wrong, I dare you. I don't have all the answers. I admit that. But if you share this information, if you got some merit, please back it up, and don't get your sources from some guy you got from college who's an economic expert. You spend $1,000 to hear him speak, or you can probably go on the internet and get a better information. All right, I know there's a bunch of people out here that had a little recital outside in the library today, so I'm at the library doing this, which is all good. Unfortunately, the plug's pretty bad, so no power in this area. But that is it in this area. And next one here from techdirt.com, as it reads, Spain government goes full police state, enacts laws forbidding dissent, unauthorized photography of law enforcement. As I say from the Shut Up Citizen, will put your money where your mouth is, department. Well, Spain is officially a police state now. On July 1st, its much protested gag law went into effect, instantly making criminals of those protesting the new law. Among the many new repressive stipulations is a 30,000 to 600,000 euro fine for unauthorized protest, which can be combined for maximum effects with a 600 to 300,000 euro fine for disrupting public events. The horrible set of statutes has risen from Spain's position as a flashpoint for an austerity protest. The European precursors to the Occupy Wall Street movement. Fines and fines, more fines await anyone who refuses to treat authority with respect it's forthwithly requiring to citizens show it. So they want you to bow down and go, Senor, yes, master, what can we do for you? That's the little game of master servant. They want you to think the police are the masters and the citizens are the servants. The people in Spain need to call them out on it. And I will continue. The laws also extend its anti-protest punishment to social media, where users can face similar fines for doing nothing more than encouraging or organizing a protest. Failing to present ID when commanded is another fine. And then there's this: showing lack of respect to those in uniform for failing to assist security forces. The prevention of public disturbance could result in an individual fine between 600 to 30,000 euros. Wow. Spain's legislators thought of everything to ensure these crackdowns on protests go off with the minimum of public backlash. Respected police officers are being given a blank check to use as much force as they feel necessary when breaking up unauthorized protests. The law doesn't directly instruct police to behave badly, but it does provide a very helpful increase in opacity. The clause in the wide-ranging legislation that critics have dubbed the gag law provides for fines of up to 30,000 euros or $33,000 US dollars for unauthorized use of images of working that could identify them, endanger their security, or hinder them from doing their jobs. Somehow the Spanish government has managed to find the expectation of privacy within its public spaces and applied to its public servants, while the law does not make provision for the public's right to know. It also defers to law enforcement's judgments when it comes to what is or isn't authorized use of photographs, video depicting police performing their public duties. Obviously, this small nod towards the public's rights is completely insincere. The government wants to clamp down on protests and obviously can't be embarrassed by award-winning photographs and video of its police officers being civilians wholly uninvolved with the protests that so angered up the cops' blood. There's a video footage on that occurred around September 25th, 2012. You'll decide for yourself. Those defending the law, sort of, the think built-in protections will at least protect some favored members of the media. Victoria Lorena, president of Spain Association representing visual journalists, thinks the language about freedom of information will protect journalists, but predicts anyone who tries to take images of police at protests without media organization credentials could be at risk. This is likely true, considering the credentialed press already blurs officers' faces when reporting the most damning images of police misconduct usually come from unofficial sources, and even the most aggressive of mainstream news outlets frequently defer to the government's judgment when reporting on alleged police abuse. Spain has outlawed dissent and given police extra protection and respect they haven't earned. Please, senor, give me respect, honor, and integrity. You know what I say? I'll just take a dump on that hand, please. That as close to a police state as you can get without actually declaring martial law. Well, it is interesting because I have been examining this area, and it really boggles the mind. And I have taken the initiative to look at the Constitution of España, or Spain, the Spanish Constitution, which ratified by referendum of the Spanish people on December 7, 1978. Yeah, they really ratified this law, did they? So I'm going a little bit through here, and we're going to focus more on Chapter 2 to be exact, which is under Rights and Liberties, and there's Division 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is going to be interesting here. So we'll just go on down here. I'm going to take time to look through. So it'll be mainly on Chapter 2 to be exact. But it's usually so funny because the people have that power, okay? And I like what it says here on Section 9, Verse 1 of the Constitution. Citizens and public authorities are bound by the Constitution and other legal provisions. And of course, here it's about freedom and equality in verse 2 of the same section. Well, this so far, according to this so-called police state law they enacted, it deprives that. So let's go right here. Section 10, Section 10, Verse 1, the dignity of the person, the inviolable rights which are inherited, the free development of the personality, and the respect for the law and for the rights of others are the foundations of political order and social peace. And of course, they have thing on verse 2 about they are conformity with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and international treaties, agreement thereon ratified by Spain. So their rights and liberties recognized by the Constitution coexist with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is by whom? The United Nations, to be exact. And of course, they talk about the aliens and citizens on their rights. And I'm going to go a little further. It's chapter 2, Rights and Liberties. And I like what section 14 has to say. Spaniards are equal before the law and may not in any way be discriminated against in account of birth, race, sex, religion, opinion, or any other personal or social condition or circumstance. Okay? And right here, section 15, division 1 of it, fundamental rights and public liberties. Section 15 says, everyone has a right to life and to the physical and moral integrity, and under no circumstances be subjected to torture or to human or degrading punishment or treatment. Death penalty is hereby abolished as accepted, provided by the military criminal time law in times of war. But may not be subject to torture or a human or degrading punishment. So if the cops can beat you up in Spain, according to this little protest, it's legit. But they say right there it supersedes their constitution, which is section 15. So I have to get a big chuckle on this. All right, and we get stuff on freedom of religion, which is okay. And I like what it says here, section 17, verse 1, every person has a right to freedom and security. No one may be deprived of his or her freedom except in accordance with the provision of this section and the cases in the matter provided by law. But I am going to go a little bit further. Of course, habeas corpus on here too. And it says here, section 8, I like here it says section 20, section verse 1, the following rights are recognized and protected. 1, the right to freely express and spread thoughts, ideas, and opinions through words and writing by any other means of reproduction. So even if you talk to people, encourage people to go to do a protest rally, you can be fined, but it does violate that language, okay? Section 20, verse 1a. So a lot of contradictions here what the Spanish government has done. And it says here the right to be literally artistic and scientific and technical production and creation, the right to academic freedom, indeed the right to freely communicate or receive truthful information by any means, dissemination whatsoever. The law shall regulate the right to clause of conscience and professional secrecy in these exercises of these freedoms. So there's a lot of contradiction here. And of course right here too, section 2 of that same verse 2 to be exact, says here the rights of the exercise of these rights may not be restricted in any form of prior censorship. So they are really violating 19 and 20 of this section 20 of this Constitution. And it's really hilarious too. Let me look at verse 3. It says here, the law shall regulate the organization and preliminary control of the mass communication media under the control of the statute or any public agency, and shall guarantee access to such media by a significant social and political groups respecting the pluralism of society and various languages of Spain. And of course here, verse 4, these freedoms are limited by respect for the rights recognized in this part by the legal provisions implemented, and especially the right to honor, to privacy, to their own image, to protect the youth of childhood. And I like here, number 5, verse 5 of section 20, seizure of publications recording the other means of information may only be carried out by the means of a court order. So how is this legislation can supersede verse 5, section 20 of their own Constitution? People gotta really look at this really thoroughly. And I like what it says here. I like what it says here too. We'll read section 21 altogether. Verse 1 speaks or reads, the right to peaceable, unarmed assembly is recognized. The exercise of this right shall not require prior authorization. You can be unarmed and peaceably protest, but you don't need any authorization. But on verse 2 it reads, in the case of the meetings in public places and of demonstrations prior notification shall be given to the authorities, who may only forbid them were all well-founded grounds to accept a breach of public order involving danger to persons or property. So if you do this demonstration, you have to give them notification. So it's like you can peacefully armed assembly. The excess shall not require prior authorization. But if you do a demonstration, you got to have permission. You got to give them notification to give them to the authorities. So there's a lot of double speak here. Okay, when it says right to assembly, right to demonstrate, and they like really double standards. What's going on in their own Spanish in their own constitution, and of course we read section 22. Section 1, the right of association is recognized, okay, and and that's like really it, but I do have to really like scratch my head. So definitely, you can look at those sections when you can. I am going to add the Spanish Constitution to this particular article. It just really blows my mind, and like I said, Spain is in full police state stature, and a lot of us have been warning folks about this worldwide on the platform to a one world order. All right, this is dead wrong. I condemn it. Giving the police all this power and authority is completely unacceptable. And I'll tell you this right now, the brothers and sisters in Spain, Catalonia, if they do succession, I will endorse it, because they see what the garbage is going on with their own parliament in Spain, and including the European Union, which merely affected that country's economy and livelihood, and I would say, my observation, political expression. But there's people that live in Spain will know a lot more about that country than I do. But based on what I read and what I examined in that certain sections of the sections of their own constitution, I do find this law completely unacceptable, and the people in Spain has to stand up. Because remember, with the one U.S. president, third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, made a quote by saying, "A little rebellion now and then is good." So people who live in that area in Europe and Spain, let them know for sure. You can share you can share this podcast episode as well. It will be greatly appreciated. And finally, here's one thing too. Came from Michael Snyder. It came from EndTheAmericanDream.com. I always like narrating his views, because it's really thoughtful and spiritual, etc. And he had one here: 10 very strange things that have happened in the past few weeks. And it says here, Have you noticed that events have begun to accelerate? Over the past few weeks, things have officially started to get very weird. Chinese stocks are crashing. The Greek debt crisis is spiraling out of control. The New York Stock Exchange was down for about 4 hours on Wednesday thanks to a technical glitch. And global politicians have been acting very strangely. After several years of relative calm, could it be possible that the second half of 2015 will usher in the time of chaos, confusion on a worldwide scale? Personally, I've never been more concerned about a period of time as I am about the last 6 months of 2015. If I'm right, what we've seen so far is just the tip of the iceberg. The following are 10 very strange things that has happened in just the past few weeks. Number 1, on Wednesday, the New York Stock Exchange, United Airlines, and the Wall Street Journal were all taken down by unexpected technical glitches. Authorities are assuring us that the hackers were not responsible by any of this. And I know yesterday I did talk about the Chinese markets, okay? 2, in China, a full-blown stock market crash is unfolding. The Shanghai Composite Index has plummeted more than 30% in less than a month, and the Chinese version of the of NASDAQ has dropped more than 40%. The amount of paper wealth that has been lost in China is 15 times greater than the GDP of Greece. 3, just the other day, hackers were able to hack into German surface-to-air missile battery. Well, this is absolutely terrifying according to the local. Hackers attacked a German Patriot surface-to-air missile battery like the one shown above, stationed along the Turkish-Syria border. The cyber attack caused the battery to carry out unexplained orders. It's believed that the cyber attackers managed to exploit the Patriot battery in two different ways. The exploit was through the sensor shooter inoperably, which controls interactions between the actual and physical missile launcher and its control system, while the other was on the guidance chip. These weaknesses could have allowed the hackers to steal data, or more worryingly, actually take control of the battery. Number 4, earlier this week, Barack Obama told reports that they were speeding up training the ISIL forces, and there's a video clip on that, and I did post it on my Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus page from Net News Network, and my jaw just dropped. They're fumbling. This is what happens when you got bend over Bobs in a New World Order trying to lead us to the road to freedom, which is not more than a toilet filled with Gardy Lou, okay? And we will continue on here. Just a few days ago, the U.S. Mint announced that they were sold out of the American Eagle silver coins. On the exact same day, the price of silver hit a new low for 2015. How does that make any sense? 6. On June 30th, an unexpected blood moon was seen over a significant portion of the United States. This also happened to be the exact day when the Supreme Court gay marriage decision came out. Find the excerpt from a recent article by Caden Calger. Excuse me here, folks. All right. It says here, on June 30th, 2015, a surprise blood moon appeared in the sky that was only seen in the United States. According to the National Weather Service, large wildfires in Canada have been burning. Due to extremely high wind, smoke from these fires have traveled into the United States. According to NBC Chattanooga, the smoke should remain in the higher atmosphere and not affect the air quality. Gives the moon and sun a rosy glow. Here's what causes the effect. As light from the moon or sun enters the atmosphere, it gets scattered by particles of like water, aerosols, in this case smoke. Green, blue, and purple colors are sent in all directions, but colors with longer wavelengths like red, orange, and yellow continue through the atmosphere and remain visible to the human eye. 7. Even though the NSA recently stated that they know no asteroid or comet currently on a collision course with Earth, and that no large object is likely to strike the Earth at any time in the next several hundred years, NASA teamed up with the National Nuclear Security Administration trying to figure out a way to use nuclear weapons to destroy asteroids that are threatening our planet. There is no threat. Why spend so much time and energy on this? Number 8. A couple of weeks ago, we learned that Barack Obama has issued 19 secret directives. What is Obama planning? And why won't he let the general public know about it? Because he's just another bellboy. Yes, master, to the oligarchs, in my opinion, and I will say that in good faith. And number 9, this week, Pope Francis called for the creation of a new economic and ecological world order where goods of the earth are shared by everyone, not just exploited by the rich. So exactly what would such a world order look like? Hey, he's the same clown Pope Francis said about Christians that owning farms is not Christian at all. So that tells you one thing. He just wiped his own behind on the New Testament and threw it into the fernery. Number 10, the Greek people just overwhelmingly voted to reject austerity. So EU officials have responded by giving Greek government a 1-week deadline to come an agreement will conclude more austerity for the Greek people. If the Greek government does not submit, EU officials are threatening them with bankruptcy, the collapse of their banking system, and explosion from the euro. Things are promised to get stranger from here. 1 week from today, on July 15th, a massive military exercise known as James Helm begins. More than 1,000 members of the U.S. military will be taking part in this drill that will be conducted in the states of Texas, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, California, Mississippi, and Florida. And don't forget, maybe the rest of the states in the Union are going to get the same effect. As I read here, and that is just the stuff that we know about. hold on here. I made that mistake. Actually, I will have to go back here a little bit. It says here, then in September comes the end of the Shemitah year, the fourth blood moon of this tetrad. The launch of a new radical, new sustainable development agenda at the United Nations is being endorsed by the Pope, and a vote on a UN Security Council resolution that would formally establish a Palestinian state. And that is just the stuff that we know about. So what do you think we should expect from the rest of this year? Please feel free to join the discussion by posting a comment below. Well, you know what? I did read some of the stuff here. One gentleman named Gary J. said, "Look up for your redemption will soon be here. Our Savior Jesus Christ warned us these days will come." And one says here, "Michael, you missed a highly unusual and utterly strange thing on your list. Republicans sided overwhelmingly with Obama and Democrats to oppose Obama to give the office to the POTUS, the Fast Track Authority. Now with the stroke of a pen on TPP, Obama can literally sign away American sovereignty to an international trade body commission who will make decisions for our country on financial issues, trades, tax tariffs, and even environmental regulations. Many are socialist or Islamic countries, including Indonesia, which is the largest Islamic population in the world, probably see legislation which will send hundreds of thousands of them here to work in U.S.-based factories. You heard it here first." I understand what he's talking about. With one gentleman, they call him Jackson 64. I know exactly what he's talking about. And what's does Mr. K reply here? There's actually nothing unusual about that. Both parties are bought and paid for and equally corrupt. Your person's right. But here's the thing. Okay, the TPP is the road to technocracy. If you heard some stuff I said in the past about the whole TPP, I've been talking about this periodically for about over a year now, from economic and crisis and other areas. And of course, I did an interview once again with Fred Frost from the from the Communication Workers of America. We was at Miami March Against Monsanto, and he agreed that the TPP is a road to technocracy, and people should take the initiative on watching Rollerball with James Caan, the original one, and it tells you what a technocratic society economy really is. But I was just going to name a few here, but this is why we have to always got to pay attention, my friends, because we are seeing things closer. Doesn't matter what your faith is. It's going to be some rough times, but very exciting as well. And everyone has a duty to be resisting one way or the other. Okay? Not have to use the firearm and go gun crazy. That's only when it's necessary. But spreading this information, ridiculing politicians, bureaucrats, and any stooges trying to interfere with your natural born lives. You gotta start calling them out, regardless of your race, color, creed, gender, etc. So, and I'm gonna add one more little memo here, which Matt Taibbi, he is from American Democracy, and it talks about Eric Holder back to Wall Street Tide law firm after years of refusing to jail bankers. It was a good interview, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, Eric Holder is nothing more than a tyrannical corporate Uncle Tom. And I say that ethically because I never was impressed by him, even the time when he was the assistant Attorney General to the ugly, two-legged, treasonous giraffe, Janet Reno. Hear the interview? There's a video on here. You get the transcript on here as well from Democracy Now! And like I said, people have their pros and cons, but you know what? I do commend this. At least they do have some good things about them. So I am going to add that to my footnotes as well, okay? Well, all I got to say is thank you for your time, my friends. Plus, feel free to share this, download. I should say download first. Sorry. Download and share this throughout your social media network. If you have any questions, comments, compliments, criticisms, recommendations, or just love letters, hate letters, don't matter. Please use decorum on good faith. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, send your comments to iHeartRadio, or you can email me at LokiLuck3, the number 3, all together at gmail.com, or you hit my Spreaker page, and it has the information there as well, how to contact me, all right? Once again, I thank you for your time, plus always remember that demonic resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.